You're nobody without me, Evan. You understand that, right? My father's voice cut through the noise of Sterling Steakhouse like a knife. The entire table went silent. Partners, colleagues, even my brother stopped mid-bite to watch what came next. I sat there, fork frozen halfway to my mouth, feeling 20 pairs of eyes burning into me. Richard Holloway, my father, leaned back in his chair with that smug smile he always wore when putting someone in their place. Especially me. Dad, that's not... I started... Not what? He laughed, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Not true? Son, you work in IT. You push papers and fix computers. Without my connections, you'd still be living in some basement apartment eating ramen. My brother Marcus snorted into his wine glass. Come on, Evan. Don't be sensitive. Dad's just being honest. The partners nodded along, uncertain smiles on their faces. My stepmother Patricia touched Richard's arm affectionately, like he just said something wise instead of cruel. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to tell them about the systems I'd built, the models I'd created, the late nights fixing problems nobody else could solve. But the words stuck in my throat. They laughed. All of them. I excused myself early that night, driving home with my father's words echoing in my head. When I got to my apartment, I checked my phone out of habit. One new email. Subject line, urgent. My name is Evan Holloway. I'm 29 years old, from Chicago, Illinois. If you're interested in stories about standing up to people who underestimate you, subscribe to this channel for more content like this. The email sat in my inbox for 3 hours before I opened it. The sender was someone named Vincent Torres from NorthBridge Capital. I'd never heard of them. Mr. Holloway, we'd like to discuss a potential opportunity involving data stream solutions. This matter requires immediate attention and discretion. Please confirm receipt. DataStream was my company. Well, not mine exactly. I worked there as a senior systems analyst, but I'd built most of their core infrastructure from scratch over the past 4 years. I assumed it was spam, maybe a phishing attempt. I almost deleted it. The next morning, my boss Aaron stopped by my desk. Evan, got a minute? We walked to his office. He closed the door, which never happened. How comfortable are you with increased responsibility? He asked. What kind of responsibility? Aaron smiled slightly. The kind that comes with recognition. Some people have been noticing your work. Important people. I don't understand. You will soon. Just be ready for some changes. He wouldn't elaborate. I spent the rest of the day wondering what he meant. That evening, another email arrived. This one was a meeting invitation for Friday. Location, DataStream Executive Conference Room. Attendees, classified. I replied, confirming my attendance, my hand shaking slightly as I typed. Friday morning, I wore my best suit, the one I bought for job interviews 3 years ago and barely worn since. When I arrived at the executive floor, security actually checked my ID. The conference room was full. I recognized DataStream CEO, the CFO, several board members, and sitting near the head of the table was someone I definitely hadn't expected. Malcolm Foster, my father's former business associate. Evan, please sit, the CEO said, gesturing to an empty chair. I sat, feeling completely out of place. They talked for 20 minutes about acquisition terms, valuation metrics, and integration strategies. Then Malcolm said something that made my stomach drop. The proprietary forecasting system is the real asset here. The efficiency gains are remarkable. Evan built that, Aaron interjected, from the ground up. Everyone looked at me. I shifted uncomfortably. Did you? Malcolm asked. Yes, sir, over the past 3 years. They continued talking, but now they kept referencing Evan's system and Evan's models. Nobody had ever called them that before. I'd always assumed they belonged to the company. Just part of my job. The meeting ended 90 minutes later. As people filed out, a woman in an expensive suit approached me. Mr. Holloway? I'm Diana Chun, legal counsel for NorthBridge. Could you stay for a moment? Everyone else left. Diana closed the door. Diana opened a leather folder and slid several documents across the table. My name appeared on every page. These are the technical specifications for the acquisition, she explained. NorthBridge is primarily interested in your predictive analytics framework. According to our evaluation, you're listed as the primary architect. Primary architect? I repeated dumbly. Yes. Your employment contract from 4 years ago included intellectual property provisions. Any systems you developed independently became company assets, but you retain architect designation. That means your technical input is required for any major transitions. I stared at the papers. There was my name, Evan Holloway, lead systems architect. I'd never seen these documents before. I didn't know this existed. I admitted, most people don't read their contracts thoroughly, Diana said without judgment. But it's there, which is why we need to discuss something sensitive. She pulled out another document. This one had my father's name on it. Richard Holloway has been in contact with NorthBridge representatives. He's attempting to position himself as a consultant on this deal. Claims he has significant influence over the technical assets. My face went hot. He what? We wanted to verify the validity of his claims before proceeding. Based on company records, he has no formal connection to DataStream or your work. Is that accurate? Completely accurate. He's never even visited my office. Diana nodded, making notes. That's what we thought. Thank you for confirming. My father called me twice that weekend. I didn't answer. Monday morning, he sent a text. Lunch today? Need to discuss some opportunities. I ignored it. He called again. And again. Finally, I answered. Dad, I'm working. Evan, good to hear your voice, son. Listen, I've been thinking about your career. I may have been too hard on you at dinner last week. You're doing good work at that company. I almost dropped my phone. Richard Holloway never apologized. Never. What do you want? I asked flatly. Can a father check in on his son? How about lunch? My treat. Bring me up to speed on what you're working on. We met at an Italian place downtown. Richard was unusually attentive, asking questions about my projects, nodding enthusiastically. It felt wrong, like watching a snake pretend to be friendly. You know, he said over dessert, I've been talking to some contacts about DataStream. Interesting things happening there. Big acquisition talks. How do you know about that? I have connections, Evan, which is why I wanted to talk to you. There might be opportunities here. For both of us. Families should stick together in business. What kind of opportunities? Richard leaned forward. The kind where we pool our resources. My network, your technical knowledge. We could position ourselves very favorably in these negotiations. Position ourselves how? Let me handle the details. Just trust your old man. I didn't trust him, not even slightly. That night, Marcus called. Dad says you're finally stepping up. About time you let him help you. After we hung up, I did some digging. I started going through my old emails, searching for anything related to Richard or external consultants. What I found made my hands shake. 6 months ago, someone named Preston Analytics had contacted DataStream claiming to have advisory insights on our forecasting models. The email thread included detailed questions about system architecture, implementation timelines, and performance metrics. I clicked through to Preston Analytics' website. The founder? A guy named Warren Preston, who'd worked with my father for 15 years. I kept searching. Found another email where Warren had tried to schedule a meeting with Aaron, claiming he represented stakeholders interested in the company's technical infrastructure. Aaron had declined, noting that all such inquiries needed to go through official channels. The dates lined up perfectly, right around when NorthBridge would have started their initial evaluation. Richard had been trying to insert himself into this deal for months. Probably thought he could claim credit for my work, position himself as some kind of advisor, and collect fees for doing absolutely nothing. I found one more document that made everything clear. A draft consulting agreement between Preston Analytics and an unnamed technology firm that matched DataStream's description perfectly. The agreement promised strategic influence over technical personnel and systems. Influence he absolutely did not have. I saved everything to a secure folder and sent copies to my personal email. Then I called Diana. Diana met me at a coffee shop near her office. I showed her what I'd found. "This is helpful," she said, photographing the documents with her phone. "Very helpful. NorthBridge needs to know if there are any conflicted parties trying to manipulate the process. What do I do if he approaches me directly?" I asked. "Document everything. Don't sign anything without legal review. And be prepared for pressure." The pressure came faster than I expected. Thursday evening, Richard showed up at my apartment unannounced. He'd never visited before. Didn't even know my address until Marcus apparently gave it to him. "Evan, we need to talk. Really talk." He came inside, settled onto my couch like he owned it, and pulled out a folder. "I've been working on something. A partnership arrangement. You and me, officially collaborating on the data stream transition. It protects both our interests." I took the document. It was 8 pages of dense legal text. "What does it actually do?" I asked. "It formalizes our working relationship. You get official recognition, a consulting fee, and my support navigating the corporate politics. I get advisory status and a small percentage for facilitating connections." "What connections?" "Evan, I know people at NorthBridge. I can make sure this goes smoothly for you." The document sat heavy in my hands. Part of me wanted to believe him, wanted to think my father actually cared about helping me. "Can I review this with someone?" "Of course, but timing matters. These deals move fast. I need an answer by Monday." After he left, I scanned every page and sent it to Diana's encrypted email. Diana called me Saturday morning. Her voice was tight, professional, angry. "Do not sign that document, under any circumstances." "What's wrong with it?" "Page 6, Section 12. There's a clause that transfers advisory authority over your technical work to Richard in perpetuity. Basically, he'd have veto power over any professional decisions you make related to these systems. Forever." My stomach turned. He'd control my work? Effectively, yes. And there's more. The small percentage you mentioned? It's 20% of any compensation you receive related to data stream assets for the next 10 years. Not 20% of his advisory fees. 20% of yours. That's insane. It's designed to silence you and profit from your work indefinitely. This isn't a partnership agreement, Evan. It's a trap. I sat down hard on my couch. He's my father. I know. I'm sorry. But you need to understand what you're dealing with. I thanked her and hung up. Spent the rest of the weekend staring at that document, seeing it for what it really was. Monday, Richard called. "Have you thought about my offer?" "I need more time." "We don't have more time, Evan. These opportunities don't wait. I'll get back to you." Tuesday, I got an email from Diana. "NorthBridge has requested a joint meeting with you and Richard. Friday at 2 p.m. Will you attend?" I replied, "Yes." The conference room was different this time. Bigger. More people. NorthBridge executives sat on one side of the table. Richard sat on the other, looking confident in an expensive suit I knew cost more than my monthly rent. I sat beside Aaron, who gave me an encouraging nod. The NorthBridge CEO, a woman named Patricia Ng, opened the meeting. "Thank you all for coming. We'd like to discuss the technical transition in detail. Mr. Holloway, we understand you've been advising Evan on these matters." Richard smiled smoothly. "That's correct. I've been consulting with my son to ensure this process goes smoothly. My firm has extensive experience with corporate acquisitions." "Excellent. Perhaps you could walk us through the forecasting model's architecture." Richard's smile never wavered. "Well, the model uses predictive analytics to optimize resource allocation across multiple variables. Standard industry practices, really, but implemented effectively." Patricia nodded. "And the integration protocol?" "The integration follows established frameworks for data migration and system consolidation." His answers sounded good, but meant absolutely nothing. I watched as Patricia and her team exchanged glances. "Mr. Evan Holloway," Patricia said, turning to me, "could you explain how the cascade prediction algorithm handles outlier data?" I took a breath. The algorithm uses a 3-tier filtering system. First tier catches standard deviations beyond 2 sigma. Second tier applies contextual analysis to determine if the outlier represents genuine trend shift or data corruption. Third tier either integrates or quarantines based on probability thresholds. The quarantine system includes automatic flagging for manual review, and the refresh cycle? Real time for Tier 1, hourly for Tier 2, daily comprehensive for Tier 3, with weekly deep analysis. Patricia smiled. Thank you. That's very clear. Richard's confident expression had frozen. He couldn't answer those questions because he didn't understand the first thing about my work. The meeting continued for another hour. Every technical question went to me. Richard's role became increasingly obvious. He knew nothing. "We'd like to speak with Evan privately," Patricia said as the meeting ended. "If that's acceptable." Richard's face hardened. "Of course." Once the room cleared, Patricia's professional demeanor softened slightly. "Evan, we need to be direct with you. We're concerned about your father's involvement in this process." I nodded slowly. His technical knowledge appears limited. His consulting claims don't match company records. And frankly, some of his connections have raised questions about his credibility. Another executive, an older man named Douglas, leaned forward. "We've done extensive due diligence. The work we're acquiring is yours. The value proposition is yours. We don't need intermediaries claiming credit they haven't earned." "What are you asking?" I said. Patricia slid a folder across the table. "We're offering you a formal leadership role in the integration process. Director of Technical Strategy. You'd oversee the transition, maintain control of your systems, and receive appropriate compensation." The salary number made my head spin. 6 figures. Plus equity. "This offer is contingent on honest assessment," Douglas added. "Can you work with your father in this capacity? Do his claims of influence have merit?" I thought about the document he'd tried to make me sign, the months of manipulation, the years of dismissal. "No," I said quietly. "His claims don't have merit, and I'm not comfortable with his involvement." Patricia nodded. "Thank you for your honesty. We'll proceed accordingly." I signed the offer letter right there. Richard found out within hours. The phone calls started immediately. I didn't answer. Let them all go to voicemail. His messages grew progressively angrier. "Evan, what the hell did you tell them? Call me back immediately. You're making a serious mistake." Marcus called next. "What did you do?" "Dad's furious. He says you sabotage him." "I told the truth," I said. "The truth? He was trying to help you, and you stabbed him in the back." Mom's crying. Everyone's asking what happened. Patricia, my stepmother, sent a text. "Very disappointed in you. Families should support each other." My uncle called to tell me I'd embarrassed the family. A cousin I barely knew sent a message saying I'd always been ungrateful. They coordinated their attacks perfectly. By evening, I'd received 23 calls and 31 messages, all saying the same thing. I betrayed my father. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. Then my actual mother called. We hadn't spoken in months. She and Richard had divorced when I was 12. "Evan, are you okay? Richard been calling everyone saying you ruined some business deal." "Mom, I can't talk about it." "That's fine, but I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you years ago." We met for breakfast at a diner far from both our homes. My mother looked older, tired, but her eyes were sharp. "Richard did this to me too," she said without preamble. 20 years ago, I was working as a project manager for a consulting firm. We landed a major client. I spent months on the proposal, the implementation plan, everything. What happened? Richard convinced me to let him help with networking, said his connections would strengthen our position. I trusted him. He was my husband. She pulled out a folder. Inside were old documents, letters, emails from 2 decades ago. He went behind my back to the client, claimed the strategy was his, that I was just implementing his vision, positioned himself as the lead consultant and me as support staff. When I confronted him, he said I was being hysterical, that he was protecting our family's interests. I stared at the papers. The pattern was identical. Same manipulation, same betrayal. I lost that contract, lost credibility in my field, spent years rebuilding my reputation. Richard walked away with consulting fees and a boosted resume. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because you were a child, and later, I thought you deserved to form your own relationship with your father. But when I heard what happened, I couldn't stay silent anymore. She pushed another folder across the table. These are financial records from Richard's business dealings over the past 15 years. I kept copies during the divorce. You should see them. The records painted a disturbing picture. Richard had claimed credit for at least 7 different projects over 15 years. Each time, the pattern was identical. Identify someone doing good work, befriend them, position himself as a partner or advisor, then systematically claim their accomplishments as his own. An architect who designed an award-winning building. Richard got himself listed as creative consultant. A software developer who created a successful app. Richard claimed strategic input and collected royalties. A marketing specialist who rebranded a major corporation. Richard presented the work as collaborative and took half the recognition. None of these people had fought back. Most had been too junior, too intimidated, or too worried about career consequences to challenge him. I compiled everything into a detailed timeline and sent to Diana. She called me back within an hour. Evan, this is significant. NorthBridge takes ethics seriously. Partnering with someone who has this pattern of misconduct could create liability issues. What happens now? We'll need to conduct a formal review. This might delay the acquisition, but it's necessary. The review began Monday. NorthBridge investigators contacted previous victims of Richard's schemes. Most were willing to talk. Meanwhile, Richard's attacks intensified. Anonymous complaints started appearing. Someone told DataStream HR that I'd been misrepresenting my role on projects. Another claimed I'd stolen code from former colleagues. A third suggested I'd violated confidentiality agreements. None of it was true, but I had to spend hours defending myself, providing documentation, proving my work was legitimate. Aaron pulled me aside. Someone's trying to undermine you. Any idea who? My father. Jesus, Evan. The smear campaign expanded. Online reviews appeared claiming I was difficult to work with. Professional forums received posts questioning my expertise. Someone even sent an anonymous tip to a tech blog suggesting DataStream systems were less sophisticated than reported. I felt like I was drowning. Every day brought new attacks. I started to wonder if the job offer would be withdrawn. If NorthBridge would decide I was too much trouble. Then I got an email from an unexpected source. Douglas, the NorthBridge executive from the private meeting. Don't let them shake you. We've seen this before. Stand firm. He wanted to meet. Off the record. We met at a quiet bar downtown. Douglas ordered scotch. I stuck with water. Your father tried this with me 3 years ago. Douglas said, different deal, same playbook. He approached me claiming to have inside knowledge about a company we were evaluating. Wanted consulting fees for his expertise. What did you do? Investigated. Found out he had no actual connection to the company. When I confronted him, he tried to discredit me to my own board. Claimed I was biased against him because of personal grudges. Did it work? Almost. But I documented everything. The truth came out eventually. He backed off. Douglas pulled out his phone and showed me a folder of saved emails. I kept all his messages. Every manipulation attempt, every lie, every threat. I've been waiting for him to try this again. Why are you helping me? Because someone helped me when I was in your position. And because men like Richard only stop when people stand up to them. Together, we have enough evidence to make NorthBridge understand exactly who they'd be dealing with. We spent 2 hours going through his documentation. Combined with my mother's records and my own evidence, the picture was damning. Richard's called a family meeting. I said, tomorrow night, I'm supposed to attend. Are you going? I don't know. If you do, record everything. Legally, if possible. Men like him can't help themselves. They'll reveal more than they intend to. The family meeting was at Richard's house, the same place where he'd hosted that humiliating dinner weeks ago. Marcus answered the door. Glad you came. Dad's been worried about you. Patricia hugged me stiffly. We need to get past this unpleasantness. Family is what matters. Richard sat in his study, looking older somehow. Smaller. Evan, son, thank you for coming. Everyone gathered in the living room. Aunt Kelly, Uncle Tom, even my grandmother. Richard stood at the center, his voice grave. I asked you all here because our family is in crisis. Evan and I have had a misunderstanding about a business matter. It's gotten out of hand. It's not a misunderstanding, I said quietly. Please, let me finish. I've been dealing with some health issues. Stress-related. The doctors say I need to reduce conflict in my life. This situation with Evan has been very hard on me. Patricia nodded sympathetically. Grandmother looked at me with disappointment. I know I haven't always been the perfect father, Richard continued. I push you hard, Evan. Maybe too hard. But everything I did was because I wanted you to succeed. Surely you understand that. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. Check your email now. I glanced at Richard, who was still talking about family loyalty and forgiveness. Carefully, I pulled out my phone under the table. The email contained medical records. Richard's medical records. From his doctor, showing zero health issues. No stress diagnosis. Nothing. The message continued. He's lying, just like he always does. Douglas. I looked up at Richard, who was now in full performance mode, talking about how much family meant to him, how he'd made mistakes, but always had good intentions. You're not sick, I said. The room went silent. What? Richard's expression flickered. You're not sick. There's no stress diagnosis. No health issues. This is another manipulation. Evan, that's incredibly insensitive. Patricia started. I held up my phone. I have your medical records. There's nothing wrong with you. Richard's face went red. How dare you invade my privacy? This is exactly the kind of behavior. Stop, I said, standing up. Just stop. I know about the Preston Analytics scheme. I know about the contract you tried to make me sign. I know about all the other people you've done this to over the years. Grandmother spoke up. Evan, your father made mistakes, but family forgives. He sabotaged Mom's career. Did you know that? 20 years ago. Used the same playbook. He just tried on me. Marcus stood up. You're being ridiculous. Dad's always supported you. Really? Name one thing. One specific thing he's done to support my actual career. Not take credit for. Not manipulate. Actually support. Nobody answered. That's what I thought. I walked out. Behind me, I could hear Richard shouting, Patricia crying, everyone talking at once. My phone rang. Diana, the due diligence team found something. We need to meet. Tomorrow morning. NorthBridge's due diligence team had been thorough. Very thorough. Diana and Patricia sat across from me in the conference room. Their expressions serious. We found financial misrepresentations connected to Richard, Patricia said. Several of his claimed credentials and past successes are either exaggerated or entirely fabricated. This creates potential liability issues for the acquisition. How bad is it? I asked. Bad enough that we need to pause the deal until we can verify everything. We can't move forward with someone in the advisory chain who has this kind of credibility problem. My stomach sank. So the deal is dead? Not dead. Pause. We need to restructure how this transition happens. Make sure there are no conflicted parties involved. Diana leaned forward. The problem is, Richard is already telling people he's involved. Partners, investors, other firms. He's using NorthBridge's name to boost his own reputation. We need to make it clear he has no official role. He'll blame me, I said. Probably. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the medical records, the fake health crisis, the years of manipulation. Yes. NorthBridge issued a statement that afternoon. While conducting due diligence of the data stream acquisition, NorthBridge Capital has identified concerns requiring additional review. The process will be temporarily paused pending resolution of these matters. My phone exploded with messages within minutes. Richard called me 17 times in 2 hours. When I finally answered, he was barely coherent with rage. You destroyed this deal. Do you understand what you've done? I told the truth. That's all. The truth? You sabotaged me. You went behind my back, poisoned them against me, ruined my reputation. I didn't do anything. They investigated and found problems. That's on you. I'm your father. You were supposed to support me. Like you supported Mom? Like you supported all those other people whose work you stole? This isn't over, Evan. Not even close. I will make sure everyone knows what you did. You'll never work in this industry again. Good luck with that. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly calm. NorthBridge called an hour later. We're ready to move forward. We'd like you to lead the negotiation process. Can you do that? I took a deep breath. Yes. The next 2 weeks were intense. Conference calls, documentation reviews, system demonstrations. I worked 18-hour days, proving every claim, answering every question, showing that my work was solid regardless of Richard's interference. Finally, Patricia called. The board is meeting tomorrow to vote on the revised acquisition. You should be there. The boardroom was intimidating. 12 people sat around an enormous table. I recognized about half of them from previous meetings. The others were new faces, serious expressions. Patricia stood at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming. We're here to finalize the data stream acquisition, pending resolution of the due diligence concerns. She nodded to me. Evan, please present your technical overview. I walked them through everything. The forecasting models, the implementation timeline, the performance metrics. I showed them documentation proving my role, testimonials from colleagues, code repositories with my commits. Then came the questions. Technical, strategic, operational. I answered each one as clearly as I could. Finally, a board member I didn't recognize spoke up. What about Richard Holloway's involvement? He has no involvement, I said flatly. He claimed expertise he doesn't have. Attempted to insert himself into the process for financial gain. Everything NorthBridge is acquiring was developed independently of him. You're certain? Completely certain. I have documentation supporting every statement. Another board member. This puts us in an awkward position. Richard has been contacting our partners, claiming advisory status. If we proceed without him, there could be reputational blowback. Douglas spoke up. The greater reputational risk is associating with someone who has a documented pattern of misrepresenting his credentials and claiming others' work. I prepared a summary of his history for your review. The board spent an hour reviewing evidence. I sat quietly, watching their faces as they read through the documentation my mother, Douglas, and I had compiled. Patricia called for a vote. All in favor of proceeding with the acquisition under Evan's technical leadership, excluding Richard Holloway from any advisory capacity? 11 hands went up. 1 abstention. Motion carries. The official announcement came the next morning. NorthBridge Capital is pleased to announce the successful acquisition of DataStream Solutions. Evan Holloway has been appointed Director of Technical Strategy, effective immediately. My new title, my new role, my new salary. The article mentioned nothing about Richard. My phone started ringing immediately. Aaron called to congratulate me. Diana sent a bottle of champagne to my apartment. Douglas invited me to lunch to celebrate. Richard's response was different. His business partners started dropping him. 3 consulting contracts were terminated within a week. His professional associations quietly removed him from leadership positions. The tech blog that had questioned DataStream systems published a correction. Previous concerns about DataStream's technical capabilities have been thoroughly investigated and found to be without merit. The systems were designed and implemented by Director of Technical Strategy Evan Holloway. Richard's reputation crumbled publicly. Everything he'd built on stolen credibility collapsed. Marcus called. Dad's in trouble. Financial trouble. He needs help. What kind of help? Lawyers. He's facing lawsuits from people claiming he misrepresented his role in their projects. He can't afford the legal fees. That's not my problem. He's your father, Evan. He's a fraud, and I'm done protecting him from consequences. 2 weeks later, Richard called me himself. His voice was different, smaller, defeated. Evan, I know you're angry. I understand. But I need to talk to you. Please. Why should I? Because I'm still your father, despite everything. And I'm asking for your help. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet. We met at the same diner where Mom and I had talked. Richard looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under his eyes. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. I didn't respond. I've lost everything. Partners, contracts, reputation. 3 different lawsuits. My lawyer says I could lose the house. What do you want from me? I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not the fake ones I've given before. A real one. I waited. I treated you terribly. Your whole life. I pushed you down to make myself feel bigger. I stole credit for your work because I was threatened by your talent. I tried to manipulate you because that's what I've always done to people. He looked up, and for the first time, I saw actual tears in his eyes. I was wrong. About everything. And I'm sorry. Okay, I said. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? That we could be a family again? I don't know if I can do that. I just want my son back. You never had me. Not really. You had someone you could control and diminish. That's not the same thing. Richard's face crumpled. I know that now. But maybe we could start over? Build something real? I thought about it for a long time. I don't know. Maybe eventually. But not now. Right now I need distance. What about the lawsuits? The financial problems? I can give you the name of a good lawyer. Someone ethical who might take your case. Beyond that, you need to figure this out yourself. That's it. That's it. I stood up to leave. Richard grabbed my hand. I really am sorry, Evan. I believe you, but that doesn't fix what you broke. I walked out, leaving him sitting there alone. I gave Richard the lawyer's contact information. Nothing more. I didn't offer money, didn't pull strings, didn't use my new position to help him. He had to face his consequences honestly, without manipulation or shortcuts. The lawsuits moved forward. Richard settled 2, lost 1. He had to sell the big house, downsized to a condo. Patricia left him. Marcus stopped answering his calls. He learned what accountability actually felt like. Meanwhile, I focused on my work. The data stream integration went smoothly. My team respected me. The systems performed even better than projected. NorthBridge offered me another promotion 6 months later. Vice President of Technical Innovation. I accepted. My mother called to congratulate me. I'm proud of you for standing up to him, for building something real on your own terms. Thanks, Mom. Do you ever talk to him? Occasionally. Brief calls. Nothing deep. Maybe someday we'll have a real relationship. But it'll have to be built on honesty, not manipulation. Douglas became a mentor. He introduced me to other executives, helped me navigate corporate politics, supported my career growth. You did something most people can't, he told me. You chose integrity over easy family approval. That takes real strength. I thought about what he said, about the choice I'd made, and what it cost me. Richard had wanted me to believe I was nothing without him, that his connection, his name, his influence were the only things that mattered. He was wrong. The acquisition officially closed 8 months after it began. NorthBridge hosted a ceremony at their headquarters. Press attended. Industry leaders gave speeches. Everyone wanted to know about the revolutionary forecasting system. Patricia Ng stood at the podium. DataStream success is built on exceptional technical innovation. Innovation that wouldn't exist without the vision and dedication of one person. She gestured to me. Please welcome our Vice President of Technical Innovation, Evan Holloway. I walked to the podium. The room was full. Investors, journalists, colleagues, board members. Richard wasn't there. Nobody had invited him. Thank you, I said. This system represents 4 years of work. Late nights, failed experiments, and constant iteration. I'm grateful to DataStream for the opportunity and to NorthBridge for recognizing its value. After the ceremony, people wanted photos, interviews, networking conversations. My phone filled with LinkedIn requests and congratulatory messages. Aaron found me in the crowd. How does it feel? Surreal. 6 months ago, my father said I was nobody without him. What would you say to him now? Nothing. I'd let the results speak for themselves. That evening, sitting alone in my apartment, I thought about everything that happened. The humiliation at the steakhouse, the manipulations, the investigations, the lawsuits. I thought about Richard sitting in that diner, defeated and alone, asking for help I couldn't give. Part of me felt sad for him, but mostly I felt free. Free from his expectations, his control, his need to diminish me to feel important. I had built something real, on my own, without his help, despite his interference. And that was enough. A year after the acquisition, I attended an industry conference in San Francisco. I gave a keynote speech about predictive analytics and system architecture. 300 people showed up to hear me talk. Afterward, a young developer approached me nervously. Mr. Holloway, I just want to say thank you. Your work inspired me to pursue systems design. I was wondering if you had any advice. I thought about Richard's advice. Take credit, manipulate people, claim others' work as your own. Build things that matter, I said instead. Be honest about your contributions. Document your work. And never let anyone convince you that their approval is more important than your integrity. That's it. That's everything. On the flight home, I got a text from an unknown number. Saw your speech online. Impressive. Proud of you, son. Dad. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, thanks. Nothing more. No promises of reconciliation. No offers to help. Just acknowledgement. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something. Maybe not. Either way, I'd be okay. Because the truth Richard never understood was simple. I was always somebody, with or without him. The company didn't call him asking for my signature. They didn't need his permission or his influence. They called me directly, recognized my work, and offered me everything I'd earned through my own effort. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. I didn't need his approval anymore. Didn't need his validation. Didn't need to prove anything to him. I'd proven it to myself. They didn't call my father. They didn't need his permission. They called me, and for the first time in my life, that was enough.